the first moon of the eastern direction of air. Now we're going to start off with the indigenous 13 moons. This is the first moon of the 13 moon cycle, and it is new bud's moon. This moon coincides exactly with Aries season, which starts about March 20th and runs until April 20th. This moon is associated with the early preschool years of childhood, when we have that initial desire for everything. The littlest kiddos say, "I want a lot." One of the first urges we have is to reach out for and want our parents. The moon's name is First Bud's Moon, and this is when the first buds appear on trees. I have a mulberry tree in my yard, and you can see the buds on it already. A few of the leaves have popped out, but most of them are budding. This is the first blush of life returning to the land after being asleep for the winter. The part of the cycle of the hero's journey that corresponds to this is the call to adventure. This is where the hook of the story happens. The catalyst of the story is introduced, and like it or not, the hero is going to be on an adventure. Just as, whether we like it or not, it's the start of a new year. The Hebrew letter that corresponds to this moon is He. According to the esoteric Kabbalah, it means window. This perfectly coincides with the call to adventure. Prior to the adventure, the hero has only looked out the window on life instead of actually living it. Edward Hoffman points out the letter He is found twice in the sacred name of God and connotes divine revelation. Again, that ties in with the esoteric meaning of window. A window reveals to us the outer world, a bigger picture. Aries season itself is very obviously connected to the call to adventure as well. During the first age of Aries was when, according to the esoteric teachings of Edgar Cayce, souls first pushed their way into matter. As they experimented with gases at first, then minerals, plants, and finally animals, they became stuck and forgot that they were souls having a temporary experience, and that souls drove evolution because of their desire to have experiences. Aries in astrology is a fire sign, ruled by Mars, but the sun is exalted. The metal of Mars is iron, and the metal of the sun is gold. In Hermetic Alchemy, Science and Practice, Paul Foster Case explains that this first stage corresponds to Aries, the Hebrew letter He, and calcination. He explains the process of calcination is that which drives out from consciousness the matter, the volatile or changeable elements of emotion, personal bias, erroneous opinion, and so on. Interestingly, he refers here to the Tower card, saying that this is a card of Mars, and that it depicts the matter that is being expelled, which, if you meditate upon it, is not what you think. You cannot truly expel the consciousness and subconscious, the man and woman falling from the tower. Instead, he is probably referring to the shadow. I covered the tower in my 7 cards of the Seeker playlist, and I'll link it below. Case then explains that calcification is the purification of the Mars force. He goes on to explain that when it is not purified, it is slimy, vicious, or unpleasant, which makes me think of the reference to the serpent. When the Mars force is purified through calcination, it enables one to see even the physical plane with a vision better than most persons. Page 2220. Case also equates this stage with tempered mortar, which is made with marble, seashells, and similar substances. When subjected to a dry heat, reduced to quicklime, a dry white burning powder. This, when properly mixed with water, becomes the lime used for making tempered mortar, whereby stones, truly cut and shaped, are cemented together in buildings. He explains that calcination is, essentially, purifying and bringing the subconscious into consciousness. This way we get rid of subconscious programming, including inherited behavior. In effect, it's a psychological practice that takes about a year. He sums it up. The perfection of the stone, which is the mind, is thus indicated. The substance should instantly melt on red-hot iron like wax. Now iron is the metal of Mars, and red-hot iron is the active functioning Mars force. When self-consciousness and subconsciousness are perfectly purified and fused, they enter into action with perfect freedom. There is no fixity of form, either conscious or subconscious, to interfere with the free flow of life power. Finally, we have the Emperor Tarot card, who we will go into more detail next year when we examine each tarot card in depth. However, the Emperor is associated with sight and the constituting intelligence. In other words, it is the frame of intelligence, tying it back to the Hebrew letter of He. Think of it as a window frame. Here, too, we are given the idea that this first moon involves a limited or even innocent perception that will be transformed as we go along this process. The Emperor represents an organizing principle. He is the framework we use to interpret this reality. He is the aspect of ourselves that defines our reality and therefore outlines what we expect out of reality. The Emperor started off the magician, but this only happened after meeting the High Priestess, who was transformed into the Empress. This, in essence, is a process of manifestation, where the seed of ideas are planted into the subconscious, and the empire over which the Emperor rules is the manifestation of that idea into physical material reality. The yellow in the Emperor card is actually gold because of the exaltation of Sun in Aries. As Paul Foster Case explains, we are merely revealing our gold through the process of alchemy. The gold was always there, within the stone, which is the mind, but it becomes the primary mineral after the alchemical transformation. In conclusion, there is an innocence to the first moon of every year. A process is begun, but we don't truly know where the adventure will take us. Similar to being a parent for the first time, we know how we think things should be, but the reality never ends up exactly as we imagine. Everything remains merely a potential, just barely beginning to show itself. We won't know until the harvest moon what we will actually receive. The tree upon which the bud is blooming was not planted this season, but survived from the previous season or the one before. Yet it is dependent upon us to take care of it this season in order for it to bloom and give forth fruit. The Emperor, too, has just answered the call of adventure. He has just become a father. He has just begun his journey with the Empress and started the tenure of his rule. So, too, his adventure as a father and ruler has just begun. I also wanted to note that the symbol for calcination is different in D.W. Huck's book from the Aries symbol that Paul Foster Case would use. And I think it's worthy of note that both do actually incorporate a symbol similar to a triangle in the symbol. But I will link the calcination video below so that you can compare the two different perspectives on the process of calcination and what it means.
Stand by.